Welcome to Building Agentic SaaS on AWS. I'm Anthony McClure, Partner Solutions Architect with Amazon Web Services, and a member of the AWS SaaS technical field community. If you caught our first episode in this new series with PartnerMonday.com, then you know the premise. We're bringing in independent software vendors who are building at the intersection of SaaS, artificial intelligence, and agents. And we're going deep inside how they're doing this with AWS. Today I'm joined by Roberto Melev, Chief Architect at Navan, and Uday Kanagala from Navan's engineering team. Navan spans over 120 microservices with over 20 engineering teams supporting them. And they've just shipped into production new MCP services and servers that let AI agents search, book, and manage travel and expense on behalf of their enterprise customers. We're going to unpack today how they built this utilizing Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. We'll talk a bit about the security model, how multi-tenancy in SaaS plays a part in this, and of course, what they've learned along the way. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. First, I'd like to welcome to the show Roberto and Uday. Thank you for being here today. Why don't we go ahead and begin today with a quick round of introductions. Introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Navan and what you do.
Hello, I am Roberto Milev. I am the Chief Architect at Navan. I run the overall architecture function in the company, and my team is also responsible for a lot of the core AI initiatives in the company. A little bit about Navan. Navan is a all-in-one travel and expense platform. We make it very easy for business travelers and employees to complete their business travel and manage their spend. We have a ton of AI features and a very intuitive booking automated expense management process. And we help our customers save time, reduce cost, and we make them move faster.
Awesome. And how about you, Uday?
Yeah, hello. I'm Uday Kanagala. As a principal software architect in Navan, I specialize in architecting the backbone of modern enterprises, travel, and expense platforms. In Navan, I'm currently focused on building resilient cloud-native infrastructures that powers our agentic AI user experiences at scale.
Brilliant. Thank you again both for being here today. So during my introduction, I had mentioned the fact that Navan spans over 120 different microservices for your products and services that you provide, with many different engineering teams working with and supporting them. What would you say, though, has changed, for you as an ISV at this point, and in enterprise software maybe in general, that has created this new opportunity around agentic SaaS?
Yeah, so what has changed is that enterprise software is no longer a single destination with a single entry point with a fixed set of UIs where our customers go and they run through a predefined workflow. Currently, nowadays, more and more people are relying on agents, and they are relying on agents performing these different actions on their behalf across whatever services that they're working on. Right. So the interface changes, but the underlying responsibilities around the platform do not change. All of the cross-cutting concerns around tenant isolation, security, authentication, authorization, observability, all of these things still need to be applied on top of this solution.
Yeah,
So
the
for
fundamentals of SaaS don't change, right? Yeah.
absolutely. And for us, we travel, as I said, in the travel and express. We operate in this space. It's a very context-rich space, right? So an answer to a question depends on who is the traveler, what is his company's policy, what is the inventory that is available, what are the current conditions at some airport. So all of these contexts we already have on the platform. The context is in multiple services, it is in multiple databases. So this gives us an opportunity to surface some of these capabilities, either in ways that agents serve them or are consumed by agents, without having to touch all of these individual business pieces and re-implement business logic, but find a centralized way of bringing this to a customer. So the interface will change, but the underlying core capabilities of the platform around travel expense and policy enforcement with all the things that come together, stays the same.
Fascinating. So, with that said, then, what exactly did you build as far as the travel and expense domain that you're working within? What can these new MCP services kind of do for your customers today? And maybe from an architectural perspective as well, since you're going from all these different microservices, was that kind of what led you to keep them separated into individual MCP servers? Or was there a thought at one point of maybe even creating one monolithic endpoint? What was your thoughts around that?
Yeah, at its core, Navan MCP provides capabilities for both Navan administrators and travelers today. Navan expense administrators can use the Navan MCP platform to provide administration operations like searching through transactions from an expense point or spend summaries. There are you can look up expense policies, all of that, and upload
Hmm.
receipts. And for a travel administrator perspective, they can use MCP to search company bookings, and then there is other set of tools on both expense and MCP. They're built upon all of these are built upon our existing APIs, which uses the fine-grained authorization in place to limit data which is being retrieved. Naman also exposes another set of tools for travelers. So previously we were talking about the administrators, like the Navan administrators, but this is more about for the travelers. What can the travelers do in addition to using our front end or a web app or a mobile app? What can they do with all these MCP clients out there, right? Using Navan MCP. So this enables our travelers to
Hmm.
search for flights, hotels, cars, trains, like all of the product catalog that we are to offer. So, and with all of these capabilities, they can perform multi-turn conversations and also manage their existing bookings at Navan. So,
Interesting. Would you say though that coming from the fact that you were already built as a microservices based organization when it comes architecturally, was that a benefit to you then as you were building out these MCP services on top of that?
yeah, definitely. So we are heavy on microservices. There is a ton of microservices, and then there is a lot of fine-grained authorizations per microservice, and then there is the domain ownership teams that are built up on top of this. So all of that is heavily used at Navan, and this is all existing. And we want to do a layer up on top of what we're doing, and Agent Core Gateway fits well into our existing architecture that we have, and all the tools. Like for example, we built uh, tools from an existing REST API, OpenAPI specs, and also a custom-built MCP servers to do a travel agent use case. So one of the use cases that we have is not just putting out a blind or a dumb MCP, a more intelligent agent in the hands of our customers, right? So we have Navan as a platform. We have sophisticated, built all of that expertise in our on travel platform. So we put all of that logic into our custom agent, and we build that agent and expose it as a custom MCP to our end users.
Very interesting. And so you mentioned there, Amazon Bedrock Agent Core Gateway, um, and utilizing that as kind of your doorway to uh, introduce or create the capabilities to have this reusable platform. How much of that would you say, kind of remained within, or that you utilized Agent Core for this versus what remained inside of Navan?
Yeah, today our customers use Claude, Codex, Cursor, and other NCP clients, and they start with authentication to our existing identity provider that we use, and we use the same workflows that the customer already have set up. So nothing's changed from that perspective, from a login or authentication perspective. The experience has been seamless, integrating Agent Core, AWS Agent Core Gateway with our identity provider to perform JOT validation on every request, and then perform authentication or authorization. The Agent Core Gateway is a single place to integrate with multiple Navan backends. So today to expose MCP tools. There are few functionalities like we use Agent Core Gateway to wrap our existing open APIs for both travel and expense admin and provide these as tools. And also we built a purpose-built a custom travel agent and then expose it as an MCP target through the Agent Core Gateway. So Agent Core Gateway today acts as an MCP front door for Navan. taking care of the responsibilities like validation, authentication, and routing the calls to the proper appropriate target. And then the subsequent actions that it does is there is a layer of request response interceptors, and once it goes through that chain, it then forwards the request to the backend targets that we have registered. And we have seamlessly integrated all of this infrastructure to Navan. There is a lot of audit logs that are piped to Navan infrastructure. We heavily use and rely on to understand the customer behaviors, how they are using or utilizing the MCP tools, and make more enhancements on top of this. For expense and travel administration, it is much simpler. We take an existing OpenAPI descriptions and make these tools available as an operations within these tools. For travelers, it connects directly to native MCP through the private endpoints. And then the interceptors in the agent core gateway, they handle the seams. On the request side, it translates, on the incoming side, it translates this request and to the authorization header. On the response side, it normalizes the raw requests into valid MCP tool results and other MCP native support. Yeah, the most important boundary is what gateway. It doesn't replace existing what we have. It complements and aids us to build and release MCP tools at a more rapid pace without interfering on what Navan does and what Navan operates. And there is a clear separation of boundary here, which allows us to own the policies, the domain behavior, the actions that we take, and manage the conversation. So all of that we do it, and then the agent core gateway provides all of these additional capabilities.
Oh, very, very interesting and well laid out architecture there. As we're talking more also about kind of the SaaSification that's involved here, the multi-tenancy aspects, we know that data in general is a very sensitive topic when we're dealing with multi-tenancy and keeping tenant isolation in place. But I would assume also with travel and expense data that this is considered even an extra level of sensitivity when it comes to PII and other flavors of the data that you're dealing with. Did that, and what design choices did you make to ensure that this was safe and reliable ultimately for enterprises to use?
Yeah. So, of course, like every responsibly built enterprise application, we build security as a chain. So, security here is not in the gateway, but the MCP gateway builds on top of existing tenant isolation and security features that we have in the product. So the way it works is the gateway handles the authentication part, but then it is up to the underlying services to apply the same scrutiny around authorization, control, tenancy, data isolation that we have in the product. So those things are not bypassed. Also, the gateway is the entry point, and then everything else is through private access around the services and the underlying calls. Another thing we do that makes this safer is that in the tool definitions, we explicitly tag read-only versus actionable tools. So one thing we do is that for actionable tools and for actions such as cancellations or changes, we request explicit consent by the user. But even when the user gives us that explicit consent, it still falls back to the underlying checks and authorizations on the service level and whether the user has permissions to perform the actions to be applied before actually executing this action. So these security controls around with a high level of observability into how the platform is doing give us operational visibility so that we can monitor how the system does, and then we can scale it up and potentially expand it and build new features.
And the service has been available for a little bit now, correct? So in production, what impact do you see this as far as creating impact for your customers, for your own internal engineering teams, maybe your customers' engineering teams? And as you've been working towards this goal of autonomous agents, so many of us, I believe, are at this point in time, have you learned anything as far as that is concerned?
Yeah, so we've been live for the last 4 or 5 months now, and the impact has been very huge. To name a few customers like OpenAI, Mistral, Rivian, Yahoo, like etc. There's many other companies that they heavily use on MCP servers today, using their custom in-house agents, not just using Claude or Cursor or any of these MCP clients, but they build their in-house agents to build rich experiences to their internal Navan administrators and also the internal users. Like before MCP, our users have been very limited, very limited with all the capabilities like Navan has to offer through the Navan web app or Navan mobile app, right? But that's how the industry has been shaped out for all these years. But now the possibilities are now customers can build their own workflows on their end to end using Navan's sophisticated travel and expense MCP servers and automate their experiences. So the for customers, the value is that travel and expense capabilities can meet them in the workflow they already use. So for administrators, they can use natural language questions around the spend, transactions, or policies or bookings, instead of rebuilding the analysis manually, right? So as a traveler, the use cases they can move through search and selecting the flight or hotels or booking and doing the trip conversations through our agents, while Navan continues to supply the inventory policy and then build in the traveler context in within the components. From an engineering perspective, what we've learned and all, like, so we at Navan we build a lot of internal MCP servers in addition to the publicly existing public facing MCP servers. So engineering adoption and the interaction with these MCP servers has been at an unimaginable levels to build and deliver rich experiences to our customers. The domain engineering teams can keep improving their APIs and agents, while the platform team owns a common front door, which Agent Core Gateway supports those concerns. Yeah. To sum it up, like the impact is both broader distribution and greater engineering leverage for Navan. The interface can change while Navan continues to supply the inventory, transactions, context, policy, and everything behind it. Yeah.
Fantastic. And do you see that, with these changes that are taking place, not only for Navan, but in the industry in general, that having these capabilities as MCP servers that your customers can interact with from an engineering perspective is helping to apply that stickiness that we like to see as far as SaaS is concerned as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So as we're kind of coming to a close here, I think there's an area that's very interesting to most customers and other ISV partners that we see at AWS. It's coming up as a recurring theme, I guess is the best way to put it. And that is, as organizations are moving from this process of doing agentic experimentation, right? Everybody's doing a lot of POCs, doing a lot of experiments with agents, with MCP, with these other capabilities, but then moving into an actual reusable production level platform. What are some of the things, or what are the learnings that you would pass along maybe to others that have been, that are coming up behind you and going through the same process? And while we're at it, also, what do you see next for Navan's Agentic SaaS journey?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've been going through the learnings along with everybody else. And as the agentic frameworks have evolved, the engineering practices have evolved. I would say that one lesson that got distilled over time is that we want to rely on a centralized set of core services and capabilities and then decentralize the actual business intelligence. So what that means for us, for our teams, is that we take core AWS services like the runtime, like the memory, like the gateway that are part of the Agent Core platform, and we build development practices around it for our engineers so that the teams can go fast, so they have a solid foundation to build upon, but they still control, the business logic, they control the customer experience, and so on. So A good example of this is a internal project that we have actually published about, and that is called Sentinel. And Sentinel is really a architectural observability tool. It takes raw GitHub actions by all of the developer teams and gives us architectural insights. It is built on Agent Core runtime. It heavily utilizes Agent Core memory, both the short-term memory for the actual Git change context, but also semantic longer-term memory for the architectural oversight. It's a good example of how you can quickly build sophisticated solutions with these building blocks, where the value of the agentic platform is not just the runtime. It is all of these additional pieces around it, like memory, like observability, that make you build sophisticated solutions very, very fast. So about the future, we already have a good head start. We are continuing to kind of bring out more and more agentic capabilities. I think we will keep expanding this both on kind of our internal agent that is called Ava, which is our support agent that's available through the application, as well as these MCP-like and other integration channels that rely on AI intelligence. Eventually, we want to have the best in-class service that allows people to book in platform, allows frictionless trip planning, booking, and very high quality expense management. So in other words, like getting all of this agentic goodness and giving a real world value add that's really tangible for our customers.
Wow, fantastic. Sounds like good things ahead as well for Navan. Uday and Roberto, thank you both so much for joining us here today and providing your perspectives on building Agentic SaaS with AWS, and look forward to seeing what comes in the near future for Navan as well.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank
If you want to try what Roberto and Uday have just described, definitely head over to navan.com and learn more about what Navan offers, what its capabilities are. And if you're interested in learning more about the MCP services and services that Navan is creating, be sure to visit developer.navan.com/MCP for the full developer documentation. Of course, we have QR codes here as well, so make sure and get your phones out, take some snaps of those pictures to learn more there too. That's going to bring us to a wrap here on episode 2 of Building Agentic SaaS on AWS. Again, a huge thanks to Roberto and Uday from Navan for showing us how they're turning their 120 plus microservices-based products and solutions SaaS platform into an agent-ready one. Domain-focused MCP servers, of course, Amazon Agent Core Gateway as the governed front door. We look forward to seeing what they're producing in the future as well. If you, my audience, have gotten something interesting out of this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can get notified of new episodes that we bring you. And of course, always remember that the existing back catalog of all of our previous episodes from the Building SaaS on AWS series is also here right on this channel. So until next time, my friends, happy building.